Here we go. Our special guest this evening is Professor Robert Thurman. He's known in the academic circles as Professor Robert A.F. Thurman. He's a talented popularizer of the Buddhist teachings and the first Westerner Tibetan Buddhist monk ordained by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. A charismatic speaker and author of many books on Tibet, Buddhism, art, politics, and culture, Bob was named by the New York Times the leading American expert on Tibetan Buddhism and was awarded the prestigious Padma Shri Award in 2020 for his help in recovering India's ancient Buddhist heritage. Professor Thurman served as the J. Tsongkhapa Professor of Indo-Tibetan Buddhist Studies in the Department of Religion at Columbia University for 30 years until 2020. Professor Thurman is the founder and active president of Tibet House US, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the preservation and promotion of Tibetan culture. Also hosting this evening and our teacher for the training program is David Nichtern, who is the CEO and founder of Dharma Moon, which is an online mindfulness-based education company and global community. He's a senior teacher in the lineage of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and he is a 4-time Emmy winner and 2-time Grammy nominee and successful entrepreneur. So now I'd like to hand it over to David and Robert. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. David.
Thank you, Michael. I think somebody might still have your mic on, so if you could please mute, that would be very helpful. Thank you. So there's a little bit of history here for what you're about to witness, which is, in a nutshell, we are launching our first mindfulness meditation teacher training program of 2022, but we've been running this program for many years. And it's a 100-hour training, which encompasses 5 weekends. A little bit later on, I'll be explaining quite a bit of the details and give you a chance to ask questions about the specific program for those of you who are interested in checking it out and coming aboard. It is a special night tonight in that for the people who've registered for this info session, we have a discount code for $300 off the list price if you register by midnight Saturday. So that's just for you only. And I will, again, be filling you in on some more of the details of the program as we go. There was an auspicious meeting. I was just thinking, I've been teaching this program all over the world and other places, as we like to say. I was just thinking, wow, I live in New York City and I don't have any place to do this in New York City. I was teaching in Los Angeles. I was teaching in, South America. I was teaching in Europe. I was teaching a lot in Japan. And I just thought, I put it out there, well, what about New York? What would be a good partner? Who would be a good partner in New York? And some of you know my day job is playing guitar and producing records for Krishna Das. And so we were up at Kripalu together playing, and Bob and Nena were there. And we sat down for lunch one day. And I'm not sure even who said it first, but we just sort of simultaneously came to the idea of why don't we work on this program together? And so that was 2019. And we launched quite a few successful teacher training programs that were physically at Tibet House. Then we went online when the COVID hit. And so, we've been working on this program together for about 3 years based on that auspicious bump at Kripalu Cafeteria. So I consider Bob a special friend and ally for this program. He co-taught the first weekend, the first time we did it. There's a need, as far as we're concerned, for foundational teachings. There's a lot of Buddhist teachings out there. There's a lot of New Age teachings, but just the basic core teachings of mindfulness meditation taught not just from the New Age perspective, but with the depth and authenticity of the real tradition, the shamatha and vipassana practice that is so much the foundation of Buddhist practice. So that's the focal point of our training. We go deep dive into that. We have a little bit of a survey and overview of the Buddhist course, the Buddhist path, and then we dig in deep to how to train you to be good mindfulness teachers. And the certification at the end of that comes from Tibet House and Dharma Moon. So I want to, first of all, Bob, say thank you, for just in the first place, having the faith really and heart to collaborate with us on this program. That meant a lot to me. and still does.
Well, thank you, David. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be with you all. And you're so lucky to be embarking on 100 hours of mindfulness. And recently, with the passing away of Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Vietnamese and really worldwide Zen teacher, who passed away, as many of you I'm sure know, recently. And I was just reading, sort of in the honor of that, in the feeling of him passing, I was reading his book called The Zen of How to Save the World, which is something he wrote about people, who wanted to, help with the global overheating and all of the nasty earth polluting that's going on and how to deal with it. And his one refrain all the time is mindfulness, mindfulness, mindfulness. Being grateful to draw a breath and to bring all the dharma and all of the vitality and all of the life and find the bliss of drawing the breath and then breathing out into the lovingly toward the Mother Earth with all of her plants that are ready to absorb that carbon dioxide that we exhale and turn it round and then send us back more oxygen. And first really line ourselves up like that through that kind of mindfulness. And then when we can do that, then we can begin to save the world, as he said, just like Dalai Lama, he and Dalai Lama are on the same plane, world peace through inner peace. The Dalai Lama's slogan, and Thich Nhat Hanh is mindfulness, save yourself, and then you save the world that way. And it's not even a duality. It's not like when you're practicing your own mindfulness, finding your own inner bliss, getting to know, your good and bad habits, and being able to learn to move freely toward the good ones by knowing all of the different inner narratives that either guide you in the positive or imprison you or trap you in the negative. This is the great work of life. And so I'm even envious because although I'm retired, I really should be signing up for this myself, and get that discount from David because it's just so wonderful. It's such a great thing, People, one thing though, Thich Nhat Hanh was really great about one thing, and that is, take a look at yourself when you meditate. When you think you're meditating, and you're sitting up there and you're following the instruction and you're meditating, don't put a strained expression on your face. Even if you're feeling a little challenged, and trying to concentrate, smile anyway. Fake it. Fake it until you make it by smiling. Thich Nhat Hanh is very big on that. And I don't know if you know that, but if you smile, even if you don't have content for the smiling at that moment, it does something to your dharma moon in your brain, and it drizzles some endorphins down in your system. You get some serotonin and some whatever, Just things flow down from the dharma moon in the top of your brain, That's there. That's the essential thing in Buddhist tantra, And you couldn't ask for a better teacher than David Nichtern. And if you have too much trouble meditating, just ask him and he'll play the guitar for you. He's really plays a nice guitar. He really does. And he used to go with KD. He would just put those ornamental tones around Krishna and Radha and so forth, and Rama and Sita for KD when KD would chant. Probably a lot of you know KD, and KD's chanting too, I think you might. So what a pleasure to be able to study with David Nichtern, who is a veteran teacher on how to meditate. And especially this mindfulness is the doorway to which you enter, And there's Eightfold Path. Mindfulness is the seventh, and it's the one that precedes samadhi, which is when you get really one-pointed and when you become a real expert. So mindfulness is the beginner's mind, as the Zen master said, where you called it, where you just are freshly addressing the inner world, exploring yourself, and learning to be more free inside your own heart and inside your own mind, so that one Tibetan nun that I love, who's actually a nice Jewish girl from Los Angeles, but she's been a Tibetan nun for 30, 40 years now, and she has a wonderful monastery. Thupten Chodron is her name, and she has a wonderful monastery in eastern Washington state. And she said something once at a conference that I was at that blew my mind. I should have known it for years before, but it really did, where she said, "Don't believe everything you think." I thought that was really marvelous. And that's something you will learn as you cultivate mindfulness, which is that your different mental habits and your different mental identities inside yourself, when you're in a good mood, in a bad mood, this kind of thing, that kind of thing, in good circumstance, bad circumstance, then they will issue forth different voices, different narratives in your mind. And what David is going to teach you is how to choose freely between those, and don't feel captured by any one of those thought trains. It's like you get on a train and then you can't get off. But you learn to be able to dismount, to get off the train easily, and then choose the track you want to go on. I always like saying it's like you learn to David is providing you with the means of discovering your own inner clicker. Could you imagine watching TV or whatever and not having a clicker to mute the commercials? Wouldn't it be? It would be like going back into the dark ages. It would be terrible. You'd have to run out of the room, when they start selling you more drugs with side effects and weird things, and cars zooming by and whatever they do, constantly pumping up the gas and oil. And you can just click, you mute it, you switch the channel, this is really what mindfulness enables one to do. It gives you inner freedom. And then you can become a hero or a shiro, my new favorite word, and it's better than heroin. I like shiro. I really love that word. And a hero or a shiro for freedom for people, which is what the 21st century is about. It's not about nonsense people who want to take it back to the Soviet Union or the World War II or whatever ridiculous uptight business they had going then. It's about people being free and dictators being superfluous, actually. And then they feel nervous, so of course they want to try to do some old-fashioned thing. But it's hopeless. They just never will succeed. So when you are battling stupidity and delusion, and when you're doing the most powerful thing, when you learn to move freely around in your own mind, your own wonderful human mind that you have, which you earned over thousands and millions of lifetimes, and you became this magnificent human being, some more magnificent than others. I personally feel one of the few little things I've discovered in my life is that the female of the species is more advanced than the male toward enlightenment. And I'm sorry, guys, to say that, but it is a fact. People used to think, the male is getting enlightened, because they thought enlightenment was when a light bulb pops off in your brain, typical kind of male thing. But actually, enlightenment means when you become connected to the universe and you become compassionate to beings, starting with compassion to yourself, which you can get through mindfulness, because you then, when there's certain narratives that used to drive you to this and that kind of unnecessary thing and get you into this and that unnecessary problem, you learn to not follow that one and to have compassion for your larger self, which really is only happy with love and wisdom and contentment and inner joy. And you learn to use those channels, and you find them and broaden them and become more and more open-minded. And you become a better and better audience for David to play his guitar. You can be swept away by the music and just go with it. There's a wonderful thing I discovered only a few years ago, although I've been studying, because I'm a particularly dense person, but I've been studying for 60 years, all these things. But only maybe 5 years ago, I was reading the great Mindfulness Focus Sutra, Satipatthana, Mahasatipatthana Sutta. And there's a wonderful thing where toward the end of that, the Buddha is leading a guided meditation. And the guided meditation is, over the last most important thing to consider is the Four Noble Truths, or what I like to call nowadays the Four Friendly, Fun Facts, which is how Buddha taught his teaching. In friendly facts, he taught. And the first of them is known as the truth of suffering. And when he guided the monks in that sutta to think about the truth of suffering, he listed long list of all different kinds of pleasant and agreeable things, which we wrongly think are pleasant and agreeable, but in fact, we never really enjoy them enough because they're called the suffering of change, because they don't last. And therefore we get, although they are pleasant at the first touch, then we are dissatisfied when they quit, when they stop. And then then they talk about the cause of it. And then the third noble truth is the truth of nirvana, of being really happy, which is Buddha's good prognosis for a human being, is the possibility of becoming truly happy, and therefore a source of happiness for others. And when he does that, I almost fainted. He then says, well, this is the real reality, is this freedom from suffering. When you get rid of the ignorance and the confusion that causes it, and the craving coming from that ignorance. And then he gives the same list. And then he says, where is this nirvana? And then he gives the same list of all the pleasant and agreeable things in life. Exact same list that he just said was suffering. Now he's giving it, this is freedom from suffering. And then scratch our heads. Why? What's the difference? The difference is craving. Why don't we really enjoy the pleasant and agreeable things? Because however great it is, we're always thinking, it could be greater. I want more of it. I want it to last longer. It's like, what, where, what, and why? And the craving strangles the pleasant and agreeable, loving, joyful aspect of life while we're trying to enjoy it. So
Bob, I think we just added a new module to the teacher training. I think we just added a new module to the teacher training, which is entitled "It's the Same List."
Yes, the same. That's right.
It's the same list.
That you should be doing this happily.
Yeah.
You should never feel strained. You smile when David is teaching, when he's guiding your meditation, when you're doing it yourself. I hope David will report to us at Tibet House that he sees only smiling faces, happy people, because you're just letting the agreeable thing of sitting peacefully and breathing and taking the time out to look inside yourself, and you're just enjoying doing that. You're not expecting it to last or evaluating it that maybe it could be better this and that way. You're just letting it take you.
And Bob, that's why we say, that's why we emphasize the idea of making friends with yourself. It's an important part of the training. Okay. It's not a way of conquering. It's not a way of controlling your mind. It's not a way of dominating your thoughts and actions, but a way of really tuning in and being friendly to yourself, making peace in a way with who you are. And it's the same list. I'm going to walk away when Bob Thurman speaks. You better have a little basket to take a little nugget with you home. And we call that, Bob, packing a lunchbox in the training program.
Well, so, I'm turning you over to David with all my blessings and good wishes for you, and even my envy of you for having such a happy time. And that's it. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to make some rice and dal.
But before you leave, Bob, I just want to, from my heart, I want to thank you so much for being you. I mean, which encompasses quite a lot of different elements. But what I was thinking while you're talking is the difference between knowledge and wisdom, and that you have. Sometimes you use the analogy of maple syrup. The tree finally has the syrup
Thank
comes
you,
out,
David.
and every word that comes out of your mouth has the quality of wisdom at this point, and it's
Thank you, David.
so much appreciated by all of us who love you.
I don't mind you saying this because my wife and children are not listening.
Okay, well,
If they were listening, they would say, "Wait a minute."
I'll
They
edit
don't
it.
want to
I'll
say
edit
it.
it for them.
Don't
We'll
let
give
it go
them
to
an
your
editor.
head, type of thing. Right, right. So,
Yeah,
but anyway, thank you, David. Really, from the heart, I'm so grateful that you've made this wonderful program. Tibet House is, everyone should know that Tibet House is the Dalai Lama's cultural center in America. And he just, and our slogan at Tibet House is we're not trying to save Tibet. We're not trying to free Tibet, although we support people who do, and personally we do. But as an institution, our whole job is to help people learn about Tibet so people will love Tibet. And then once they love it, then they'll save it, they'll free it. And we want also the Chinese Politburo, the Communist Party, to love Tibet, which they haven't figured out how to do yet. So you will be working on that by you loving it. And once they know how much you love it, they might wake up to it themselves. That's our hope. So thank you, David, for doing this, and good
thank you,
luck.
Bob. Okay,
And all
thank
the
you so
best.
much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Here. I offer ahead of time to everybody. I'm doing this nowadays online. I offer to everybody online the white scarf of greeting. And the other great thing is David is starting this, and you are starting this course in the first 2 weeks of Tibetan New Year, which starts on March 4th this year. And that's called the Time of Miracles. And it's the Lunar New Year, and that particular waxing moon is considered really auspicious to start something, in the sense that it will finish, or it will open up successfully. So here's the white scarf that you give people on the New Year, meaning the open freedom, happiness of your mind. And I put it over everybody's neck, and especially David's. But I don't yet know how to manifest that through the Zoom. But I will learn. We'll all learn later. Okay. So all the best. Okay. So carry on.
Thank you, Bob. See you soon, I hope.
Okay. See you soon too.
Okay.
And good luck, everyone.
Okay.
And have a happy time.
Well, I'm a little verklempt right now. That was, we have, fortunately, a lot of times when I'm playing with KD, we have double billed, if you will, using the entertainment vernacular, with Professor Thurman, and he's been sitting on the stage next to me at times. I keep wanting to hand him a bass and say, or a percussion instrument, you could play along with us while we do it. But of course, we've had plenty of opportunity to talk Dharma and to share perspectives over the years. And I think, most of you know him and love him and understand who he is. But that was a kind of a really good dose right there. That was a really nice dose. And actually, the Four Noble Truths, just for those of you who are not familiar with it, was the first words out of Buddha's mouth after he became enlightened. So you can consider them especially cogent, especially prescient. And I'm going to write that down. It's the same list. The very things that we're trying to get over, reject about ourselves, our nervousness, our arrogance, our resentments, our sadness, our broken hearts. And all of those are actually, in the Buddhist way of looking at it, the actual ground of practice. So that's the view we take. We're not trying to get away from anything or transcend in a cliched way, but actually engage fully. I think Bob just gave a really good Dharma talk there, and it would fit right very well into the program that we're offering. So I wanted to spend the rest of our time. We have another 30 minutes for those of you who can stay around, just talking a little bit more about the granular aspect of the program, what's involved, let you ask questions. But the first thing I want to do is just emphasize you have a special link as participants in this info session. So I was hoping that Panos or Michael, could one of you just post the link? And if you use this link that's going into the chat, you could copy it. And the code that's accompanying it, you will be able to get, and by Saturday at midnight Eastern time, you'll be able to get a special discount for this program of $300. So I'm hoping that you use this link, and also we need the code, right, Michael? Or they just click that link and that accomplishes the whole thing?
There we go.
Mike?
So yeah, we have the code up, and
Yeah, there you go. So they need that link and then use that code and make sure you apply that code, and then that amount would automatically be deducted. So I really want to make sure that that's clear that we're offering that.
that link is to the level 1. If you just want to do the first weekend, we'll also get the link up to the entire program as well.
Yeah, that's the one we want, and put that in the same frame as the code. So that's the one message they get that's really clear. Okay, so it's yeah, there you go. And we'll check in with that again. If you have any questions about any of this, you can maybe you can put this in the chat too, Michael. assist@dharmamoon.com for any questions you have about the program. And then also you'll get an email tomorrow with a replay of this particular video. And for those of you who are not here this evening, which is usually these days, most of the people watch on the recording, you'll have access to all this information as well in the email that you'll get. So what is this program? I mean, I'm assuming some of you are here because you wanted to know more about it, and I'm going to try to leave us some time for some skillful Q&A back and forth that you can ask whatever questions you have. If we don't get to your question, you can address it to assist@dharmamoon.com. So it's a 5-weekend program starting auspiciously, as Bob mentioned, in March 11th weekend, which is after the Tibetan New Year. And it goes roughly through into June. All this information is on the website, dharmamoon.com, very clearly indicated. And in between, there's also practice sessions and then breakout groups with smaller groups. So I want to just give you a quick summary of those 5 weekends. The first weekend is
David, sorry to interrupt. Do you want the screen share up while we do this?
No, I think it's okay. I'll just, because all this information is on the website. And the first weekend is, oh, sure, why not? Visual aid, why not? Make it easier.
Just give me 1 second. I'll get the screen
share. The first weekend can be taken as a standalone. So if you're not sure that you want to take the whole course, you can just sign up for the first weekend for $300. That's March 11th. And then you can apply that towards going forward. So that's an option that everybody has. The first weekend is an overview, Intro to Mindfulness and the Path of Meditation. You learn the fundamentals of meditation practice, very precise mindfulness instructions. Getting a clear idea of the benefit of meditation. Our idea is if you don't have a sense of why you're doing it, you won't do it. I think many of you have probably had that experience. So a clear view of the Buddhist path and the stages of practice. And then we very quickly pivot in this program towards the notion of helping others with their practice. The premise is that the ground practice of mindfulness is not rocket science, actually. It's earth peasant wisdom. It's ordinary magic. And that once we go through this program, we feel pretty confident that you're going to be equipped to, if you like to, engage the process of transmitting it to others, including the prospect of doing that professionally, which is becoming a huge field at the moment of needing qualified, certified mindfulness teachers for various programs that are igniting all over the place right now, and for various websites and online communication platforms. So the second level, and again, you could sign up for the whole program and get the discount, or if you take the level 1 and then decide to follow up, will be about 3 weekends later. And that is, we start with passing the, we call it passing the gong to you, not the baton. And you will practice teaching groups of people who are learning how to do mindfulness meditation. We give you the wheel, I call it driver's ed, and we give you the wheel right away, but then we also hold on to the wheel, and that means that you're getting one-to-one guidance from our teachers. You're getting feedback from the other trainees, and you're getting feedback from the teachers. So it's a very dynamic process, and it has to be live. It's something that I really want to say about this program that I think sets it apart is we give one-to-one instruction and care throughout the program. We'll have one trained assistant director for every 10 or 12 or 15 people, depending on the size of the course. And that person is going to be your liaison for the entire 4 months of the course. So we develop clarity and communication skills presenting mindfulness within a group setting. We talk a lot about the role of the teacher, which is a big question these days, is what is a teacher in the Buddhist tradition? And we talk about the 3 different levels of teacher that not everybody talks about, but the idea of the preceptor, the idea of the spiritual friend, and then the idea of the master or guru is really reserved for a much more subtle level of communication. So in this course, we're learning how to be a good preceptor, a good math teacher, share the principles, share the clarity of it, and guide the students. And then a big part of the program is you participate in breakout group sessions. And you yourself will be giving the mindfulness instruction. Of course, we set you up for that. And then receiving feedback from fellow teacher trainees and training directors, as mentioned. But one thing is that a principle that we present quite coherently throughout the program is the idea of self-assessing. How do you think you're doing? And this is something you can stop somebody's mind this way. We're all waiting around to think, oh, I did a great job, or this person doesn't like me. But an honest self-assessment is really the backbone of the whole program. In the Lojong slogans, it says, of the 2 witnesses, choose the principal one. So this idea of self-assessing goes throughout the program. Then in level 3, which is the next weekend, we move towards one-to-one instruction, which could be something that you choose to get involved with after you get certified or not. It's a little bit more nuanced and developed because it's just you and one other person. So we, again, learn those core principles and skillful action responses in terms of how to conduct yourself there. We talk about ethical guidelines for that situation, which is extremely important these days. What are the boundaries? What are the guardrails? What are the parameters for, let's say a situation which somebody says they're having a really difficult time emotionally, or they're wanting to come off meds, or they're having a breakup in their life, or they have terminal illness. All kinds of things can come up in the one-on-one. And we are very clear about, sticking to our lane and our parameters and not teaching beyond what we've been trained to do. So there are also those breakout groups. So you'll do one-to-one, but the other people in your breakout group will watch, and the assistant directors will be filtering in and out of those breakout groups to give feedback. Then the 4th level, which we just introduced this fall, is how to give a dharma talk. So I think most of you coming in the Tibet House portal know what we mean by a dharma talk. Bob Thurman just gave an ace dharma talk. He had 12 minutes. He basically covered the 4 Noble Truths, the foundation of mindfulness, and got all of us launched into a kind of cohesive view of what the reason is to practice, how to go about it, and so forth. So this is obviously embryonic in the sense that you'll go out after this, and you may find yourself in situations where you're giving introductory meditation instruction to a group of people, let's say at a corporation or so. And what are you going to do after the first 2 or 3 times? You can't just reiterate the instructions. You have to develop what we call the view, and that is a dharma talk. So we begin the process of getting you prepared to actually talk about meditation and the path in a coherent way, and respond to questions, and read a room, feel your own energy in the situation. When do you feel maybe too self-conscious? How to work with difficult people in the audience. We get quite granular with this stuff, and at the end, I think you have a very practical guide to going out into the world and being a meditation teacher. That's our intention. And then finally, the level 5 program is a review of all the course materials. We have a whole module these days on teacher ethics, and also DEI and diversity, quality, inclusivity, the kind of, somewhat contemporary socio-political context in which we're teaching, that we have respect for the settings in which we're teaching, that we are not overcome with any kind of arrogance about that we stay humble, that we stay open, that we keep a sense of authenticity and responsibility about what we're offering. There's also a module which Bob alluded to. I have a book called Creativity, Spirituality, and Making a Buck, which is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's the idea of right livelihood and also creative expression. I recommend the book to you, of course, but we have one module in the afternoon on the first day of level 5 in which we talk about the business principles of teaching meditation. Some of you are going to go out and get a job or integrate this into a job you already have, like if you're a therapist or a sports coach, or a yoga teacher, work in a hospital, a caregiver. All these are really fantastic ground for you to integrate our teaching certificate and add it to your toolbox. Some of you are going to go out and just hang up a shingle saying mindfulness teacher. I get on LinkedIn, I get probably 40 people a day saying, I want to connect with you. And it just says mindfulness teacher. There are apps out there like Calm and Headspace that are paving the way for millions and millions of people who want to learn more about practice. They're not taking people deeper. They don't have the interest in that economically, and they don't have the organization to do that. But we are training people to take people deeper. So then at the end of our level 5, we have what is often a very cool party online. And it's a certificate ceremony. We will symbolically pass out the certificates. You will actually get a written certificate from Tibet House and Dharma Moon when you graduate. There are also some additional program content, which is on the Friday evenings of the weekends. We do intensive meditation practice for 2 hours. And then we have meetings. You have 2 meetings with your MI, your meditation instructor. And here are the dates for this program. Don't worry about writing these down. These are all on the website, but if you want to just take a quick look. We do require live participation. This is just not one of these kind of like download it and kind of have it on an iPad while you're cooking a tortilla. This is a real course of communication and interaction with the other students and the teaching staff. There's minimal reading. There's a few books that we ask you to read. The manuals are exquisite for this course. They're extremely well formed and well developed, and in themselves provide part of the text for the course, and that of course comes with the training. And then we're not overloading you with theory in this course. This is a very hands-on meditation course about how to practice and how to teach others how to practice. So I think that takes us through. Mike, does that take us through everything that we have slides for? Yeah, let's look at this one, certification requirements. So we ask that you commit for the 4 months of the practice of the training to a daily meditation practice. Now, when we say daily, we're not, if you miss a day, it's not like, okay, you've got to go back, chutes and ladders, now you're back to 0. But we're asking you to, for 5 days a week, sit for a minimum of 20 minutes per day, mindfulness meditation, just exactly the way that you're training to do it and training to teach people. So we are teaching a particular traditional method. There are other methods, but we, as we'll explain, we have our reason for how we're doing it. You'll be maintaining a log of your sessions to be submitted to your AD, your assistant director. This is super important. This is how can we teach what we don't experience? It's impossible. So if nothing else, this course can be a way for you to ground your own practice and establish a base for it. We're not saying everybody who graduates will become a teacher. That's up to you. If you pass, you'll be certified to it. But if you just want to take the program as a way of kind of stabilizing your own practice and study, that's a completely legitimate approach. We do use The Wisdom of No Escape by Pema Chodron as this sort of core text. This is one of the best books ever written. Most of you know Pema Chodron, I suspect, for entry-level meditation practice. It's something that we use as sort of backbone for the course. And then during the sessions, you'll practice teaching mindfulness with a small group of peers, and then you'll receive supportive feedback along with a group discussion led by your assigned assistant director. So that's a group mentoring session that we offer. And you will meet with your, there's a 30-minute meeting with your one-to-one meeting with your mentor. Again, this is something that is not offered in a lot of the online courses, this level of personal attention. It's unique. So you can get 1 or 2 sessions of that with your assistant director. There is a written exam. Nothing to panic about. I feel some of you, your palms are getting sweaty and you're having flashbacks to college courses or dreams about college courses that you never finished. It's a very friendly take-home, as we used to say in school, if you remember that, a take-home exam. And you can look at your text and so forth to complete it. And then a reasonable effort will get you through that. Then there's a live oral exam, which is not a scholarly exam, but it's you actually presenting a class to one of the assistant directors, and us feeling confident that you have kind of put it under your belt and are comfortable with making the presentation. And beautiful, beautiful, the certificate of completion, signed with Tibet House and Dharma Moon. Looks really pretty together, those 2 logos. I really like that. And you will get a digital version of this. We were mailing out, hand copies, but that just became, too much to deal with in the digital online age. So you'll get a digital copy of this, and then you can print it out from there if you satisfy all the requirements. There's a very special offering at the very end of level 5 that Michael Cameras is involved with. It's a spoiler alert. I can't tell you what it is, except he will be playing saxophone while in a hula hoop. We do have fun. This is not meant to be a deadhead kind of like, hyper serious. It's playful. It's fun. People actually have really connected at a heart level in a way that we never expected to be possible with this online program. And I think that's the big picture of it. Maybe we could just take a few questions and then you will get the recording so we can call it a night before we depart. So just maybe before the questions, I'll just reemphasize that, you can go to assist@dharmamoon.com for any questions that you might have. You can look at the website, dharmamoon.com. And also we'll post one more time the links for you to get the special $300 discount if you register by Saturday night as a result of coming to this info session. So maybe the rest of the time, if you have any questions, we can use the hand raising mudra, digital mudra as we call it. It's under your reactions button there. And if you raise your hand, we'll give you, our panos will call on you, and you can unmute and ask your question, and we'll take a shot at it.
So, David, there are already some questions in the chat. So how do you want to handle that? Do you want to take turns and have some people?
Let's take 2 live and then 2 from the chat and 2 live.
Okay.
I'll answer some in the chat as we get going too. So take it from here.
Very good.
All right. So our first question is from Didi, I assume. I don't know if I pronounced this correctly. And I'm adding a spotlight here. I don't know if you want to.
Hi, thank you. My question is, just for clarity, that this training is a Tibetan Buddhist, it's Buddhist-based meditation. We're not talking about secular meditation. And then related to that question, mindfulness meditation. So in the mainstream mindfulness secular meditation movement, whenever those 2 words are used, mindfulness meditation, I think people usually think it's like what's used in the MBSR sitting meditation, or it's the Western version of the Theravada tradition, insight meditation. So I want to be very clear, like what exactly is mindfulness meditation that we're talking about. And we're talking about Buddhist, becoming a Buddhist meditation teacher as opposed to secular, and it's Tibetan Buddhist meditation or meditation that applies to all Buddhist traditions. Thank you.
Yeah, Didi, that's a great question. And really thank you for highlighting that so I can address that. Somewhere there is a happy land that is between the sacred and secular worlds. That's why I wrote a book called Creativity, Spirituality, and Making a Buck. So what I would say to you is that our roots of, since you're showing us a picture of grass and with dew on it, the roots of the grass are definitely in the Buddhist tradition. Myself, I was trained for 50 years in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. My teacher was Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. It was an intensive training in the 3 Yana tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. So it includes the Theravada or Hinayana tradition, Mahayana and Vajrayana tradition. This course is, like so many things these days, is pulling from those roots this core, like you mentioned, MBSR, the core foundational practice of mindfulness meditation, which is simultaneously a secular practice, and it is simultaneously the core practice of any Buddhist. There is no Buddhism without mindfulness. It is the foundational practice. So, not to hedge your question, but the root is definitely the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. But we are not teaching Vajrayana. We're not teaching the Mahayana tradition. We're not explicitly teaching Theravada. We're teaching something that would be very coherent with the secular version of mindfulness meditation. It would be in alignment with that, but it has the roots in the tradition, and so we sometimes are pulling those roots up and kind of sharing those. Maybe a follow-up question would be good. Does that answer your question?
I think it's a good starting point. I can email more follow-up questions. I've taken the MBSR course, and I am a Tibetan Buddhist, so I just wanted to be clear of, that, because I know some people who do secular mindfulness, it's not for everybody, and some people actually end up having problems. And so I just want to be clear about a Buddhist-based version of the meditation and like the distinction from the MBSR one. Yeah.
So, the definition of mindfulness we use, I'll give you 2 different definitions of it for the 2 parts of your studies, is very similar to John Kabat-Zinn definition, which is, placement of attention on a particular object to focus the mind and maintaining non-judgmental awareness of whatever arises. That's really a good definition of mindfulness in the secular sense, but it's also a perfect definition of shamatha vipassana practice if you take it from the classical Buddhist tradition, or Shine and Laktong in Tibetan. So in my experience, this is not really 2 different worlds. It's maybe the application or who you're talking to, but we're not inviting people to become Buddhists. We're not offering a refuge vow, or, somebody could take this. For example, we have tennis coaches coming and taking this. And then we have people who are going to gravitate more towards the traditional environment. We are open to the full range of that, but in my opinion, the practice itself is somewhat identical, and the goal of it is to stabilize the mind and to develop a friendly and kind of unbiased relationship to, as Bob was saying, to what arises in your mind. And that would cover both the secular practice and the more deeply entrenched spiritual practice. So it's a great conversation, Didi, and I hope we get to have more of it. Thank you. Did we lose Didi? You there?
Sorry, and maybe we can have Michael.
Okay. You're from Southport, North Carolina. Okay.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? Southport, North Carolina. Is there a Northport, South Carolina also?
Good question. I don't know.
Okay.
I just moved here a couple of years ago. I'm not really that familiar with the state or the area, but
okay.
A couple quick questions. One is that are any of these weekend sessions available in person at the Tibet House? And the second question is how would you compare this mindfulness teacher training to other mindfulness teacher trainings? Not so much the MBSR, but those that specialize in mindfulness teacher trainings. I saw one, for example, is like a 2-year program.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And thank you for those questions. As to whether we can do it live or not quite yet. Although when we left Tibet House 2 years ago physically, we were just installing a sound system there for doing, for simulcasting internet and live. And I think that will be a modality that we'll be able to try maybe towards the fall if things return to a more normal state. And but this program will be all digital, all online. Okay. And I'll look forward to seeing you all. I had dinner with some friends the other night, and I looked at them and I said, "Where's your box? I don't see your square around you. What's missing there?" And I walked around the people. There are 3-dimensional beings left in the universe, but right now we're going with the 2D version. The thing I want to report is that it's been remarkably intimate. And we've been trying to figure out why that is true, because you're seeing people's faces very closely, as opposed to a live situation. So, but this one is digital. Remind me the second question, please.
Yeah, the second question was, how do you compare this mindfulness teacher training to others?
Yeah, this one's the best. Now, in all seriousness, we are proud of this program. We worked hard on. I've been teaching it for 20 plus years in various configurations. We've really thought through the sequence. We've developed in the last couple of years. Our program director, Rebecca D'Onofrio, has created a beautiful series of manuals. It's very clean and well sequenced. It's shorter than 2 years. It's 4 months. It's 100 hours. But we feel confident, and I don't think I would do it if I was checking how are people at the end of it. Are we unleashing unguided missiles into the world? Because I don't want to have the karmic responsibility of doing that. So I think the program's tight, it's cohesive, it stays with the fundamentals quite a bit. If you're looking for an in-depth Buddhist studies course, I can recommend our year-long Buddhist studies course, which is taught by my son, Ethan Nichtern, also on Dharma Moon platform. This is not that. This is really focusing on getting you out and trained as a mindfulness meditation teacher in the current situation. So it's very focused, it's tight, it's very interactive. I think that sets it apart also. You have a lot of contact with people and with the other students. And it's a kind of lighthearted, but deeply rooted. Thank you. Lighthearted, but deeply rooted. The 2 lists are the same.
And speaking of keeping things tight, David, and on time, we're at 6:57.
Wow. Okay. I think we probably, should hold up because I want to respect people's time. Again, if you have any questions, please write to Assist at Dharma Moon, and Renee will take care of you. One thing I didn't mention is that we're playing a team sport here at Dharma Moon. I'm the senior teacher, but we've trained a really excellent quality of course staff, and also teachers who are coming up along and co-teaching some of the courses. So Panos here is one of the assistant directors. Michael, who is doubling on hula hoop, saxophone, and tech support, is one of our senior teachers. And it's a very personal atmosphere that you're coming into, a very cherished human ecosystem. And we will get to know you, and we will take care of you. So I know there might be questions. The last thing I want to reiterate is if you're on the fence and there's a financial consideration, consider getting off the fence and jumping off and grabbing that discount code. But we will be taking students right up to March 11th, which is 2 weeks from Friday. The group is growing. It'll be we don't go beyond a manageable size for the staff that we have. which is usually in the 75, 85, 90 people range. And we're looking forward to seeing you. If I can help in any way, you let us know. Want to again thank Beata at Tibet House and the staff there, Justin and Jen, and who did I miss, Beata?
Melanie was on very briefly, and then there's Bob.
Well, Bob deserves a whole separate category. So
yes, it's true.
Again, special, and those, I don't know if you all met Beata, but she's the managing director of Tibet House.
Hi, everybody.
And has become a really great friend over this time. So
I can only encourage people to consider seriously this program. So
thank you. And I'll encourage, if you're feeling like you want to get out and about and you're in the New York area, Tibet House is open now, right?
Yes, we're open, and we have a new exhibition up. So please, if you're in the New York City area, we have great COVID protocols, and we're open and happy to see people. Like David said, 3D, there's nothing like 3D.
And thank you, Bob and Nana, for initiating this collaboration and for the great work that you're doing and the spirit. That's a good spirit, ladies and gentlemen. You just saw really.
And I want to wish everybody a happy Losar. It's next week. It's the water tiger year. So it's supposed to be magical, dynamic, and anything else you can think of, throw it in there and make some positive wishes. It's coming up March 3rd.
While we have that, we have a dedication of merit that we offer at Dharma Moon. And it's a simple idea that any benefit that accrues during your practice is offered out to others. So I'm just going to quickly chant that as a way of closing our gathering. And thank you all so much for coming. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings experience joy and the happiness of others. May all beings remain in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Thank you, everybody. All the best.